Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Tuesday, September the 1st. I'm Gary Stevens. Tying up some loose ends, our chat with Zeeland Mayor Kevin Kleinstra is now available on our website, go to WHTC.com. Listen or download at your convenience for free. We will render the Zoom conversation with Kevin a little bit later on this morning and make it available to you as a link in our description of the podcast at WHTC.com. We'll also upload it to our Facebook page, which is 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. Bottom of the hour, Patty Vandenberg will be joining us. What's New around Holland will be open line following the 11 o'clock news. But at 10:11, it is Tuesday morning. It's time to have our weekly chat with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen from DeBruyn Seed on Washington and Elm in downtown Zeeland. She joins us via the Google Meet connection from the offices and the retail establishment of DeBruyn Seed. You could spot this, by the way. Good morning, Jan.
Good morning.
And you could spot it with that little bird.
That's true. That's very true.
Look for the little bird. It's not on the sign. It's actually on the building itself. Look for the bird, and the bird will be the word there. There is no sign of Mr. Butternut, even though his campaign has continued to try to press Ken and the boys to put a picture of Mr. Butternut on the outside of the building. That has not happened yet.
We don't have a big enough space because he's a little fat boy.
Oh, yes. Yes, he definitely is on the hefty side. 395-1450, 395-1450. Maybe, if you want to try to help Mr. Butternut lose some weight, don't bring stuff in that will help him to do that. DeBruyn has got more than enough stuff to try to keep him in the pink of health. But you can bring stuff in for helping the island dogs and Save a Gato effort in Puerto Rico. And Jan has been sending stuff almost every week now, it looks like.
Yes, I have. They've really been hit by the tornadoes, the hurricanes going through there. It seems like every hurricane that's come through has come through Puerto Rico, and it's just soaking that poor little island. So they need all the help they can get. Thank you, people. You keep bringing stuff in, but I'll take any used, or if you've got any leftover dog, cat, pig, horse, goat, human medicine, I will take it. I will send it down for them, especially like flea and tick medicines, heartworm, antibiotics, pain, anti-inflammatory, any kind of animal nursing needs like bottles or S-Black or something like that. And gently used collars, leashes, toys, and some treats. I promise Butternut does not get them. They go down there.
Maybe you need to keep them in a brown paper bag or a brown paper box to make sure that, well, then again, knowing cats as we both know, they're as fascinated about brown paper boxes as they are about anything decorated.
There is nothing in a bag or a box that he does not know where it is. Yes, he's good about that.
Okay. But anyway, again, drop it off. Jan will make sure it goes to Island Dogs and Save a Gato in Puerto Rico. During the WHTC morning news and our garden party segment, we went over some of the categories of the week. Normally we do it sometimes on Talk of the Town, other times on Garden Party. We did it on Garden Party today. So if you missed that, go to our website at WHTC.com and the podcast tab. Listen for some of the things of the week, that some issues that have come up, and you can find out about what to deal with the wasps, grubs, and if you don't deal with scrubs, you have to deal with skunks. So, that information is in that as well. It's kind of smoke. No, it's actually that. And we even talked about a novel way of, you got fruit fly problems, take it outside, take the fruit flies outside, and the little hummingbirds will be happy about that. Let's talk about, what do you do in the garden now? It's September 1st. What do you do in the garden now, Jan?
Well, you still can plant some things. You can still plant lettuce and spinach and radishes and mustard and collards and kale. And of course, course, beets and turnips can still be planted. You know, in fact, some vegetables taste better after a first frost. So, you know, this is the great time of year to do it because there aren't quite as many bugs out there, too.
Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen. Hello, you're on the air.
Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Good morning. I have a question on the hydrangeas. I got one last spring in the May, and we planted it in the ground, and it did not blossom. What am I doing wrong? Why did that happen?
Did you able to hear that, Jan?
Well, parts of it. I didn't. What kind of plant was planted?
Why did that happen?
We're waiting for the delay.
Okay.
Go ahead. What was repeat your question because we only heard the delay part of it.
I had gotten a hydrangea last spring, and I planted it in the ground, and wondered why we didn't get any blossoming this year.
Hydrangeas blossom on buds from last fall, so it very possible had no buds from last fall, or it could have been that if you planted it before the middle of May, before we had the cold temperature, it could be the frost took them out, or it could have taken them out wherever it was before too. I wouldn't worry about that. The first year it really needs to put the roots in the ground, not worry about flowers. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
Just make sure you're not trimming it now. Let it set its buds now for next year.
Okay, so I don't even trim it down. Okay.
No.
That was my next question, because I thought the bush got pretty big, and I thought, whoa, how big, do I let it get? And I thought, I got to ask, so before I do anything drastic to it.
No, don't do anything to it now.
Your help.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. Let me put the precautions. Sometimes we have to remind people. We have some new listeners from time to time. We are on an 8-second delay. So if you are calling in and you hear us picking up the line while Jan or I finish up our thought, turn down the radio, please. And that way you'll be able to chat with us in real time. And we don't have to wait 8 seconds for you to chat with us. So just a reminder. Just a reminder, a little bit of ground rules here on WHTC's Talk of the Town program. We were talking about what to do in the garden now. Part of what you can do is do some forward thinking, most notably thinking about next year.
That's right. If you're done with some plants, take them out of the garden and then get that ground ready for next year. Actually, tilling it in the fall is a better time to do it than next spring, because next spring it's usually wet. It's pretty dry out there right now, so you can till the ground. Make sure to do a thorough tilling right now if you've taken everything out. And you can plant a fall cover crop if you want, or you can just put some leaves on top of it and get it ready, put it to bed for the winter. Although to me, it's still too early to do that.
Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Good morning. Love you guys. Jan, we had a big brush pile 6-8 weeks ago, and I discovered yesterday on this big ash heap a beautiful moonflower. The plant is gorgeous, larger than what I have in my perennial garden, which leads me to my question. Can I take some of those ashes and spread that into my garden? Is that something that plants thrive on?
Just be careful. You can use ashes because it does have potash, which is the last number in a fertilizer, like a 10-10-10, last number is potash. It can burn, right. So don't put a great big thick layer, but yes, you can put some of that on your garden. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. I don't know if we want to call that organic matter with the ashes, but certainly adding organic matter would help in terms of preparing your soil for next year.
Yes, it always is. Like your leaves from your yard to put in there, or any other kind of organic matter. You can buy some compost or whatever, and work it into the soil, because it's not, when you put it in, it's not available for any plants right away. So this gives it a time to work into the soil, become part of the soil. So next spring, you're ready to plant and you're way ahead of the game.
What about some of the leaves that are starting to fall right now? I know some leaves are already on the ground.
Yeah, just make sure that they're not maple leaves that have the great big black tarry spots or anything like that on them. You don't want that on the garden. We want nice, healthy leaves on the garden. So remember, no diseased ones.
Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Hi, I had a question about what looks like cactus kind of out by the Saugatuck Dune State Park and South Mansion that I saw. It's just growing in the ground. Is that an invasive species or is that natural to Michigan?
There are some cactus that are natural to Michigan, and I know they are down in Saugatuck. So you might be seeing some natural cactus. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call. 395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Yes, I was just wondering, is it a good time to transplant some of your plants, flowers?
Yeah, as long as you do it during the cool part of the day, and put it right back where you want it, have it ready to go. Next place you want to go. Cut off the tops if they're done, and then just dig them up. You can divide them if you want, and then put them elsewhere. But yeah, you can do that this time of year. Again, cool time of the day, either morning or evening. You can definitely do that.
Okay, do you have to cut them all the way down then?
No, you can cut them to like 2 inches tall. Just makes it easier for digging up and transplanting and putting down somewhere else.
Okay, well, thank you. And that goes for anything, right?
For most things, yes. Remember, the life is in the roots, not in the top. So you usually don't have to worry about perennials.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. We spent some of our time in our opening segment, Jan, talking about what to do in the garden now, preparing maybe for next year in the early going.
Yes.
There are some chores that you can do not only for your vegetables, but also for your herbs.
Yeah, if you just have an herb garden, and I know a lot of people either just start with an herb garden or they cut back and they just have an herb garden. And, in the end of the fall, they just dig everything up and they just throw it away. You can overwinter a lot of things. Basil is not one of them. So just keep picking your basil and using it as you can. But things like thyme and oregano will overwinter here extremely well. So, make sure you keep it, trimmed down. And when we're getting ready for when we get our first really cold weather, put a mulch over it. You could even take like pine boughs or, some leaves and put it over top of your herbs to help mulch them in. And maybe even a windbreak, on the west side of them so the wind doesn't wash off or wind blow all your ground cover off. But they can overwinter extremely well. My sage, thyme, oregano, a lot of things come back. Basil is one thing that will not. It likes warm temperature, but you might be able to transplant that to a pot and take it indoors.
Good morning. You're on the line with the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
Yeah, good morning. A couple questions. First of all, there's some spots in my front yard where there was a lot of crabgrass, and I sprayed it, and it all died. So these are big brown spots now where the crabgrass was. Right now, is it a good time to rake that out and replant grass seed in there, or should I wait?
It depends on what you used. You have to read the label and see how long between spraying and putting down grass seed. But it should be okay to just get that crap out of there and put something new in.
Yeah, okay. It'd be a good time to do it now to plant the grass seed.
I still would wait, maybe another week or two. But yeah, it's about that time.
Oh, okay. And another question on east side of our front lawn, even though we got sprinklers, a lot of that grass turned brown when the sun shines on it. Do I have to replant grass seed in there?
I would rake out, if something's dead in there, I definitely would rake it out and put some new grass seed in there, yes.
Okay, and just raking it would be enough. I don't have to rototill or anything like that?
No, I wouldn't rototill it, because once you start rototilling, if there's weed seeds in there, you just rototill it very evenly over everything. So I would just rake out what you can, put some grass seed in there and rake it in so you get it to incorporate in that top 1/8 inch of soil.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll be down to see you guys and get some grass seed. You got some good grass seed for that, don't you?
We have some fantastic grass seed, you bet.
Okay, thanks.
I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. Jan, let's talk a little bit about food plots before we talk about grass, because it's still time to put in the food plot to try to get those deer to eat your food.
Yeah, this is the time of year everybody heads north, and they've all got a little plot that they put their little food plot on. Memorial Day weekend, right around in there, that's when they all head up, want to put in something, and you still have plenty of time to put something in. Turnips you still can do. There's a lot of grassier crops that you can put in also. So yeah, you still got time to do this, and we have got such an array of stuff for food plots, everything from radishes to turnips to rape to clovers, anything your little heart would desire, chicory. We've got sun hemp, we've got all of the stuff you want.
Oh, by the way, for those of you who are correctoids, it's Labor Day weekend is to plan it up. Jan mentioned Memorial. Yeah, we have correctoids that do nothing but.
It is a holiday coming up, and yes. I'm still back in May. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. It's not too late to plant, even if, for example, those who want to hunt the king's venison with wearing the Lincoln green and and the bow and arrow, because that season starts at the beginning of October.
Yes, yeah. You can at least get something up and green and growing, and anything fresh and green and growing, the deer love. I don't care what the heck you planted; they'll eat it if it's fresh and new. Yes.
395-1450. If you have a question for Jan Meeuwsen, she'll take it at 395-1450. She is the master gardener. Her base of operations is DeBruyn Seed, Washington Elm in downtown Zeeland. We had a caller before the break talking about grass and planting grass, and this is the time if you want to do some planting of grass. Might not be a bad time to do it. At least I think it's a good time to do it.
Yeah, we have a little milder temperatures out there. It's not quite so hot, and the water isn't just evaporating the second it hits the ground. So you got a little better chance to put it down. But at least it's a good time to get your area ready to put down grass seed. And that means if there's weeds there, you're going to need to spray them with Roundup or something of the like that you can plant in 10 days. You want to get rid of anything that's there because you want to get that grass seed really incorporated in that top 1/8 inch of soil. That's really important because you can't just throw it on top of the grass and hope it grows, because once the roots start growing down and find out there's not soil there, they just die. So I don't want you to waste your money. Let's, get this done right. Let's get rid of the weeds first, so we got a nice area that we can plant. If you can't do that, if it's just that you just want to throw some more grass seed in because your lawn's just a little bit thin, I would rent our split seeder, and you can actually put it in. It actually puts the grass seed right where it needs to be. We have a push one, so you got to have some muscle. This is not something that's just gonna zip right on through, but it does do the job. Should be able to do that. And then you can also do your homework or come over here and we can help you figure out how much grass seed you will need, what kind of grass seed you should be using, fertilizer to put down with the grass seed. It's a long process, but if you have your homework done first, it makes it so much easier. You can get it done in a day, and you can walk away from it.
Can you bring samples of your grass into the shop to say, okay, what type of grass is this?
Yeah, we can look at it. That's not a problem.
I mean, in other words, to be able to get the right seed.
Yep. Not a problem. We can match your seed, or you can just tell us what kind of areas you've got. We'll help match what you got to what you're going to get. You don't want one that looks totally different than the other, and we understand that.
Now, pardon my ignorance on this, Jan, but it's one thing if you've gotten the ground all cleared out, you cleared out the weeds, basically cleared out maybe the old dead grass and stuff like that. You're planting all new grass, and that's fine. But if you got to try to do some patch up, how tough is that to try to, match up the seed with areas that are, shall we say, a little bit on the lean side for grass?
Again, we can help you. There's some that grow quickly. So, I mean, if you don't have a way to keep it watered, I would suggest putting something that's going to grow in a little quicker, so you don't have to be sitting there watering it for 4 months trying to get it up out of the ground. If you've got a nice lawn, you just want to fill in some spots, maybe some sunny lawn mix that's high in bluegrass would be the right one for you. The bluegrass is going to take a little longer to come out of the ground, but it's probably what your lawn is probably ryegrasses and bluegrasses, and that probably would be a good match for you. So yeah, there's lots of different things out there, and we've got I think 10 or 12 mixes, so we can find something that will be perfect.
395-1450 if you have a question for the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen. It is one thing to be frugal. It's one thing to be efficient and try to get the best value when you are buying grass seeds, but sometimes you can't be skimpy in terms of putting down the grass seed. You're trying to make sure that every seed does take, but you got to put some seeds down for the amount of grass. There's a formula for that, isn't there?
Yes, there is. And it's 5 pounds of grass seed for every 1,000 square feet. So if you've just got a little, like an area like of a little single garage, like 200 square feet, that's just a pound of grass seed. But 5 pounds per 1,000 of grass seed. Now, I had somebody that had 2,000 square feet, and he was calling me the other day and wanted to know what he should do. And I said, well, you actually need 10 pounds of grass seed for that area. Oh, no, that was much too little. He wanted to buy a 25-pound bag of grass seed. Now, there's such a thing as not doing enough. The lawn comes in pretty thin. And then there's such a thing as putting down too much, because then all the little roots start growing into each other, and then it just all dies. So let's do the correct amount. You get the square footage, get the correct amount. Doing your homework beforehand makes a world of difference.
Well, maybe that guy was he wanted the quick, nice, thick lawn, luscious, thick lawn. He wanted to do it the fast way.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't come up any faster, but
yeah, do the jet job on that,
Yeah, that's a little overkill there, yeah.
What about fertilizer, dealing with grass seed? How much and what the best way of doing it?
Yeah, there's different size fertilizer bags. I mean, you can go to 1,000 square foot bag up to a 10,000 square foot bag. I personally like, if you're going to go to all the work of putting down new grass seed and you want to put starter fertilizer down, which is a great idea. It's like an insurance policy, but you put down the one that also has the weed preventer in it. Scott's starter fertilizer with weed preventer. It's like double insurance. You won't get weeds for 6 weeks. So you don't have to go over there and pull out the weeds all the time. You've got that much of an advantage to start out with. So your lawn's going to be much better.
That's for new lawns. What about existing lawns, trying to help them out, especially since we've had a little bit of tough time with water, especially over the last few weeks?
Yeah, if your lawn's dormant or went dormant, you're not quite sure whether it's going to come back yet, you might want to give it just a little bit longer. We're getting some rain again tonight. It's cooler temperatures. Things are starting to green up. In my backyard, I can see spots are starting to green up. Not everything, but spots are starting to green up. So there is hope out there but I'm still going to have to put grass seed down. I just know it. I know that there's going to be some areas that just aren't going to come back. So you might want to wait just another week or so to see what's going to really start greening up. And those areas that don't, rake them out, and let's put down some grass seed.
Now, one thing about fertilizer is one thing to be able to help the new seed and existing grass doing well. What about mulch? How's that work? Whether or not it's good? How much to use? What's the deal with mulch?
Mulch is a great idea, especially if you've got to be, moving sprinklers around, or you can't afford to have the sprinklers running all the time. It holds in that water, and it holds that grass in place, because a lot of the mulches have what's called as a tackifier, and it just holds everything right in place. Now, the grass seed accelerator looks like little pellets, and you throw them on the ground. And I've used this, and this is great stuff. But if it says it covers 500 square feet, that really means that's what it covers. Because I thought, oh, I'm just doing this little area, and I put way too much on. And then when you water it, it expands. And once it expands, you really can't take it off. And I had this great big thick layer of mulch on that I'm trying to pull off, made a huge mess. So make sure you put the correct amount down of the stuff that expands. But there's also, we've got this straw. It comes in a bag that you put on it. It's got a tackifier down, and that works also. And you don't have to rake any of this stuff out. Now, if you use regular straw, bale of straw, usually a standard bale of straw will cover about 500 square feet, but you got to rake that off after a while. So, and it makes a mess. So I want to kind of keep it, that after work down. So yeah, I'm not real big on just putting regular straw down. And remember, not hay, straw, not hay.
Yeah, what the hey on this,
Yeah.
A couple more things, and we'll button up the conversation about lawns. Dealing with weeds. Normally, is it better in the fall to get rid of the weeds, or is it better in the spring to get rid of the weeds?
Say 10-4 to weeds on 10-4. That's the extension's motto. So that means in the fall, best time to get rid of your weeds. They're actually, just like your grass, pulling energy down into the roots so they will survive during the winter. You put some weed killer down, it will pull that weed killer down and kill the weed. Problem is, you don't get that, in the spring and summer when you put on crabgrass killer or some sort of weed killer, you get that instant gratification of it looking dead, or it turns white. You don't get that in the fall. You just don't get the weeds in the spring. So if you're one of those people that really needs instant gratification, wait till spring. But if you're one of those lazy people like me, do it in the fall.
Efficient. Let's call it being efficient, not just.
Oh, okay.
You're trying to be efficient and make sure that the job is done. Doesn't matter, the gratification level. The other thing is dealing with dethatching.
Dethatching, this is a perfect time of year to do that. This is when the grass roots are at their strongest. So when you put that dethatcher over, it's not going to pull out the good grass. You're just going to get all of that dead thatch out of there. It's a big chore to do it. You go through the lawn and it will look like a hayfield afterwards, and you got to rake all that stuff out. But boy, afterwards, that lawn will look so much better. And it will say thank you. But, don't just assume you need to dethatch every year or two. Just really look at it and see if you have a layer of thatch there and do it, because otherwise you just don't want to be ruining your lawn.
Let's go back. Let's go to a subject we haven't hit in a while. And I know we don't want to hit it, but we're going to have to, Jan. Stink bugs, Asian beetles, box elders. We're getting close to that time of year, I'm afraid.
Actually, if you really look close in the lawns, you will see them starting to congregate. So it won't be far away from when we have a sunny day. The south side of your house, the warm side, will be covered in them. So this should be a bumper year for them, because it's been a good year for them outside. So I would be prepared. Let's get out there and do that home defense all the way around your house. Go from your house out 4 feet, up the foundation, around doors and windows. Honestly, I don't want to spend winter inside with them. So I do this religiously. Yes.
The other insect issue that will be coming up not only now, but over the next few weeks, and we've touched upon it before, Jan, the concerns about Eastern equine encephalitis mosquitoes might be coming out, even though we've had dry July, dry August. The skeeters are just a good soaking rain away from coming back to plague us.
That's right. So remember that when, again, rain this afternoon and it's going to be warm and sunny the next day. Make sure that you've got some sort of mosquito prevention in your backyard, especially if you spend a lot of time out there and your pets spend a lot of time out there. Bird baths, make sure you've got your mosquito dunks in it. No standing water out there. Try get, some BT in any standing water that you might have that you can't get rid of. I mean, even if it's a place on your lawn that has standing water, you can throw one of those little mosquito dunks in that, and the BT will help prevent the mosquito larvae from hatching. Get your mosquito eradicators up. I just, we had one lady buy one yesterday because she was expecting, again, just like you, another fall with insects because we had such a dry summer. They're gonna come out, it. And, we've got not only Eastern equine encephalitis, but we also have Lyme disease, and we have, it's ticks, but we have other things that, West Nile, and that one, can't remember it right now, but that was found in Kent County. So yes, you do not want to get stung by a mosquito right now.
Not only mosquito, I would assume you still have a lot of those Spartan mosquito things
You
that
bet.
can just take on the outside, away from the house, but still keep them away.
Don't put it next to the house. Put it away from the house, but it will make all the mosquitoes go away from you, and that's what we want. And especially if you've got horses out there, let's get them away. Put it away from the barn so the mosquitoes aren't in the barn. You just cannot afford to get your horse get infected, or you. It's a nasty, nasty disease.
Let's end it on a good note, or end our conversation on a good note, talking about the birds. Having our program go to the birds.
That is a great idea.
Feeding the birds. Is it helpful or harmful?
After all of those feeder counts that we have been doing in December and then again in February, they've done some studies. Does feeding birds help or does it hinder? If it hinders, we shouldn't do it. And some people say don't do it. But the birds that are found at your feeders are found, they are not on the endangered list whatsoever. It's usually the birds that don't come to the feeders that are the ones that are on the endangered list or are having problems. So your feeders, they are usually not a problem. So go ahead, get those feeders out. I've got them mine filled right now with Mr. Butternut's fruit and nut, because I want all those warblers that are going to be passing through to stop in my backyard. Because, not my cat likes to watch them, but also, I like to watch them too. So I'm going to feed my birds.
Feed the birds, but keep in mind, there are some birds that you should not feed. If they're walking around, they're not flying, don't feed the birds.
Don't feed. I don't mind if you feed the ducks something like bird food. That's okay for them. Don't be feeding bread, donuts, stale cake. Don't be throwing that kind of stuff out for them. They fill up on it. Do not eat, just like our kids. They fill up on the junk food. They don't eat what's good for them. And, we're not giving ducks our, multivitamins. So they could actually die from, and actually ducks actually get pin feathers that grow in wrong when you feed them bread. So do not feed them that.
And the thing is too, if you feed them too much, and I can, from Exhibit A in our area, they don't fly.
Yes. That's it.
They quit flying.
Yes, their pin feathers are growing in wrong, so they can't fly anymore. Don't feed them bread.
She is the master gardener, Jan Meeuwsen from DeBruyn Seed. She joins us every Tuesday morning to talk about some of the things going on at DeBruyn Seed, Washington Elm in downtown Zeeland. She also joins us Tuesday morning for the Garden Party segment on WHTC Morning News and the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show, Saturday mornings, 11 to noon, right here on WHTC. Jan, of course, you can say hi to her at DeBruyn Seed, Washington Elm in downtown Zeeland when she's not on the radio. Jan, as always, thank you very much for spending some time with us. Wish you and everybody at DeBruyn's well. We'll do this all again next month.
Sounds like a good idea. Yep.
Actually, next week, because we are in a new month, right?
That's right.
I'll get everything right. Jan, thank you very much for joining us on the Yard and Garden Hour.